Hey guys, my name is Twaa, and welcome to Imaginary Black, where we hope to be bringing the imaginary issues of Black women to you guys, to your reality. My name is Twaa. Again, this is Chenault. Say hello.
Hello.
Today's topic of discussion is going to have to do with this government shutdown.
Okay. So the topic is the illusion of economic safety. So this government shutdown is on its 29th day. That is a whole month that several people have been without benefits. They have been without a paycheck, and it's getting real.
Real ridiculous. Yeah.
It's getting real. I'm a person that watches a lot of, apocalyptic movies because like survival is a thing that I'm getting into right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I have a stockpile of stuff in the basement, but you must always be prepared. And we always think like Armageddon is this thing where a meteor is going to hit the earth or there's going to be mass disease. No. First off, a lot of people are living in Armageddon all the time, survival mode. And this shutdown has brought a lot of people to that point.
Yeah, even more people have joined into that.
It's reality. And so there have been updates today on what 45, the president, is saying today. And so it says that he had remarks today that he is going to attempt to bring an end to the 29-day shutdown. However, people are very skeptical about it. So the president announced today that an immigration deal might end the government shutdown, providing temporary protection for some undocumented immigrants, along with other measures in exchange for $5.7 billion in funding for his,
so what does that mean? Is that an exchange to what they're going to keep them in ICE longer and keep these children separated from their parents longer? I mean, what does that mean? What type of protection are we talking about here?
Exactly. So not defined, right?
Yeah.
So very, very skeptical about what it means because he always shoots stuff off the cuff anyway without really explaining what it is that he's actually trying to get to. Okay. So this broad immigration compromise is intended to restart negotiations over the month-long government shutdown, but Democrats were shooting down the proposal before the president even put the offer on the table, which I could understand because there's lack of trust.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we don't trust anything. So supposedly at 4:00, we are recording this after 4. The president made these remarks and this supposed plan, it's a threat, right? He's threatening. He's like, well, you'll get your jobs back. You'll get your benefits back. You'll be able to pay your rent if I get what I want. He's throwing a temper tantrum.
Wow.
With power.
Yeah.
Unyielding power. But we're not here to talk about Trump. Okay. On Imaginary Black, we're talking about us, right? And how we deal with what is going on in society and have dealt with what is going on in society from the perspective of being Black women. And that comes from many different facets of a diamond, right? Because we all have different experiences and we all have different backgrounds that contribute to how we survive, the decisions that we make, how we thrive. Okay. So recapping these current events, we told you what's going on. If you want more information, Google it. There's updates that are popping up every 30 minutes online. But we said the topic was the illusion of economic safety. So one thing I wanted to explore was the concept of safety. Like, what does safety really mean? I have been working with a very dynamic reproductive justice organization that was redefining some of its work, the goal of the work, which is to make sure that women can have children, not have children, raise children, not raise children, basically be free. Okay. Be free to be women, to be caretakers. And originally it was be caretakers safely, right? Without fear, yada, yada, yada. But someone challenged that concept. They said, what if we're not safe? We should still be allowed to be free. Like, are we comfortable being free, living free, thinking free, even when we are not safe?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So what is the definition of safety to you? Let's just explore this concept. When you hear safety, don't look at the dictionary.
Right. No. I was going to pull that up for later reflection, but for me,
yes.
like, honestly, it's the same thing that I look for, like, in a relationship, like having that mental security, having, or let me say this, mental protection, having that physical protection, and having financial protection. For me, those are things that make me feel safe, is knowing that I can speak my mind and be protected. But also too, that I'm going to speak my mind in a way that's going to harness protection for others. I'm like, who shall not be mentioned, number 45. But also too, having that physical security, knowing that my physical space, my physical body, my physical material objects are protected, or can easily be replaced if something were to happen to them. So still, like, having that financial security and knowing that I have some type of skill that can be traded for monetary value, because we'll get into it later, but talking about like entrepreneurship, like knowing that I have something that I can still sell if my job in my company, that I work for, that corporation, falls through. But to expand upon that, I did want to read the actual Google definition. I'm not going to put this on any Merriam-Webster or anyone, but safety is literally defined as the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. So being protected from danger, risk, or injury, or the cause of danger, risk, and injury. So
you brought up a really great point, because you say that, you want safety to be present in all relationships, financial, interpersonal, romantic, etc. But you also brought up the fact that when we talk about financial safety, some of that is our responsibility, because what about that side hustle, that extra skill, if and when your main source of income is threatened, when it's not safe?
Yeah, and I really feel like that's honestly something that we as millennials deal with, more so than what our parents did, because, there was this sense of brand loyalty in this, that people stayed at their jobs and retired from their jobs. And I used to work for the Girl Scouts, and I watched people who had 18 plus years, working for this company, just get let go. And I was like, you committed that much of your life, that much of your energy, and they just let you go, like you didn't matter. That was extremely problematic for me. And I was like, there's not a sense of loyalty from both sides. And to me, that's part of that protection too, having that bond of trust, having that bond of loyalty. And I feel like if you're not going to be loyal to me, or you can make the change or the decision to, change things and exclude me from that change, then I should be able to have that same power. So I guess in feeling protected, there's a sense of empowerment as well. In either feeling empowered or feeling like you don't have any power. So
So that's interesting. You also talk about loyalty. My next question was the context of how the term safety has evolved throughout our history in America as Black women, because we know that this country was not built nor designed to keep us safe. We came over here, were brought over here, kidnapped, whatever you want to call it. Indigenous folks also, right? Because we all have indigenous blood. That's a whole nother show. But anyway, we're not approached with safety by those who are now in power. Let's just go ahead and say that. Safety is never a priority for us. So we have had this illusion of safety based on what what certain people in power deem as safe for them, believing that it is attainable for us. I'm not saying that it's not. Okay, I'm not saying that it's not. But what I do want to stress is that the whole matrix that we're in, the whole context of our journey over the last 400 years here in this country, safety has never been a priority.
No,
there is no loyalty between us and
there's no trust
between us and other entities. Okay, so
there's no trust. So.
Right, there's no trust. So if we recognize that, we have to equip ourselves and be resilient. Have that side hustle that can be a main hustle. Have that safety net that we have always had as a people. Black women, period, have been safety nets. Built safety nets, because we understand that safety is not imminent. We never had it.
Bringing this back full circle, when we talk about that trust that we don't have, with our governmental entity, that, they're not going to provide for us how they said they were going to provide. And in a sense, enslaving us to our job, telling us that, slavery has been abolished, but then re-enslaving us to our job, telling us then now you're not going to pay us. You're going to literally treat us like a slave. You may pay us later. It doesn't matter because our bills don't stop rolling in. My rent still has to be paid. My mortgage has to be paid. My car note has to be paid. My insurance has to be paid. And
the federal government is still requesting their payment for a Section 8. They're still requesting their payment for child support.
And I'm like, you literally have built this system, and you have documented this system that says, oh, well, we're going to do these things for you, but it literally depends on who you are in the society. So, for example, I told you my mom works for the federal government. She's always sending me jobs and stuff that they have with them or whatever, as if I don't have a job right now. But
we love our moms, love dearly.
But I'm like, I cannot sit here and apply for a position knowing that they can sit here and tell me right before the holidays that, you're not going to be working, and we don't know when we're going to have you back, and we don't know when we're going to pay you. And on top of that, then turn around, the new year comes, I've still been out of work for over 3 weeks, and you tell me, oh, you got to return to work, and we're still not going to pay you. What is that? I only define that as slavery. I don't understand how that couldn't be slavery, because the thing is, people with money will sit there and be like, oh, well, you have this opportunity to just sit at home and pretty much just relax. Well, no, like I said, my bills are still coming in. I don't have the funds to be able to just sit here and relax, because I still have to take care of those things. If I have, one child, I got to take care of this child. My child didn't stop going to school. Those teachers are still teaching, thank goodness it's not affecting their, situation. But at the same time, I'm having to take care of these things. And the average worker for the federal government, it's not making 6 figures.
Yes. So let's go back. Let's go even back before that. The whole fact that after 2 weeks of missing pay. Now, we're not even talking about the 29 days that we're at right now. After the 2 weeks of missing pay, people are living paycheck to paycheck.
That's what I'm saying.
The wage gap is real.
Yeah.
It's coming to light. The whole fact that we don't have savings is real, and it's strategized, because when you get people to a point where they live paycheck to paycheck, don't have savings, now we get into credit. Because the whole reason for a credit score is because you don't have enough money to pay cash for what you should have anyway. Let's even go there.
Yeah, and it's another framework that they have put on slavery. Yes. I'm telling you, we are slaves to the system. And I'm like, you cannot sit here and tell me that capitalism is benefiting the majority of the people in this country. I'm like, how?
This is capitalism. Shutdown. Capitalism. It's driven by capitalism.
And I was like, when I had these discussions with my mom, I'm like, how does this make sense? Like, because one thing she enlightened me to is she was like, these people are making these decisions and keeping these people from their money. However, they're still getting paid. She was like, they're making money through the campaigns and stuff that they had. They still have things that are stacked up in their bank accounts.
Savings.
While most of the people have they're, like you said, living paycheck to. We're living here in California. Here, I cannot imagine and I live in Northern California, so I cannot imagine living off of just my income.
Ooh, honey.
We have a combined income that's still not even near 6 figures. And I'm like, and we're not scraping by, but we're living like at the lowest understanding of comfortable. That's the definition of comfortable, that at any moment I can say, I'm going to use some of my PTO. I'm going to travel to this place.
Yes.
Or I'm going to, take off from work for such and such length of time for some mental, therapy and some rehabilitation. And that's not something that we're afforded to do right now, because of the hardships we were going through. And I'll have to go into this too about like when we were living in Florida, because Florida has an economy that is set up that is ideal for what the 45th has in place right now. And they really do not support their citizens. They have no care economically for anyone who is struggling. And everything in Florida is literally based around trying to maintain you in this sense of economic deprivation and homelessness. And it's very bad and it's sick. And what I thought we were getting away from in Florida and coming to California, I thought it was that, but the number of homeless people that I see here is 10 times the amount of the people that I was seeing in Florida. So I haven't figured out quite what's going on here yet. Yeah, that's really like, that to me, that's really a very obvious symptom of the sickness of capitalism to me. So that's just my opinion.
So the last point that I wanted to talk about, because we always said we wanted to end on a positive note, how we as Black women have been resilient through economic troubles and the myths that prevail about our status. And that means the status of always being poor, dependent upon the system. That's a whole other thing. Dependent upon the system, that kind of thing. But despite all of those myths, because statistics are showing Black people do not make up the majority of folks that receive government assistance. Let's be honest. We only make up 13%.
Let me tell you, the statistics, all the people who, let me just touch on that real quick. Because all y'all mofos out here that are talking all that smack, talking about, oh, it's Black people. I want you to spend a day in one of those offices, the food stamp offices, and you're going to see that Black people are the minority in that office. The Black people that you were saying that are in the office are actually the workers. They are the social workers who are helping people with their applications, who are helping them to get set up on these food stamps. They're the ones who are, it's Tamika and them who are sending you your letter of approval or denial. So what are you talking about? And my thing is, I've been in those offices many a times, and not just as someone who's trying to get assistance, but just as someone who's like, the job market is, working for a while. So I was going there trying to take advantage of some of their free programming. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is not what I was expecting. After a while, I started buying into the crap, and I'm like, that's not true.
Not true. So how have we been resilient? Since we know what the truth is, evidently, even though we do not make up the majority of those who are receiving assistance. However, we do make up the majority of those that are in a low socioeconomic status. Evidently, there's some resilience going on. So how are we living and thriving even when there's lack?
Yeah. Part of it is, like I said, that entrepreneurship, having tangible skills. So living in Kentucky for many years, I learned at an early age, like, you cannot judge a book by its cover, and not just because I'm Black, like that's an obvious thing. But when it comes to the work place and really understanding, like, okay, why is it that I see that, these janitors are Black? Why is it that I see that, the cafeteria lady is Black? Like, why is it always an overwhelming number of us who are doing that? And then actually talking and developing relationships with these people and realizing, oh, this isn't their only job. These people also are running landscaping businesses. They're running beauty salons. They're running just all kinds of different things. They auto mechanics, these people actually have viable skills, but because of how our society is set up, they don't have the business structure is not set up to bring in that economic wealth as it would with somebody who has money to already put into a business to develop, and then they're not being approved for loans. So we can go into all of that systematic discrimination.
Credit, once again, the fact that credit
is something else that I'm like, and I'm gonna circle back around and touch on that too.
Okay,
but I think that's one thing that we have to stop buying into, because I always say we need to change the conversation, and not change the conversation in the sense of ignoring the negative. No, we need to acknowledge the negative, and then we need to change the conversation around it, because there's no way in which Black people are the largest spending group when it comes to material things in society, but yet we are the poorest community in society, and I'm not going to own that. It is not, because
and we will post reports of that, because she is right. There are verifiable facts. We'll post reports of that in the comments as well.
Yeah, and with me being somebody who's an advocate for a hair, like, and I do my little side hustle,
billions of dollars industry.
We are the largest demographic that spends money in that. So
the market has shifted because all that money
there. Yeah. So, but to bring it on the positive, like I said, like, I mean, that's one thing. Like, we just have to be more community oriented. One of the things that I always did when I do hair is I'm always trying to pay that forward, because, doing natural hairstyles was not something that I just knew how to do, because one, I've had a perm since I was 4, so I never knew how to do my hair, my kinky hair, until I started watching videos and then getting ideas. And so when I learned that I wanted my hair to look a certain way, and whether or not that was add and weave to it or not, I was like, I'm always gonna teach, my clients how they can do this for themselves. So if they want to keep their look fresh, you don't have to keep it coming back and paying me. I would love that. And you have people who are like, I don't want to do this for myself, so I'm going to come back. That's totally fine. But for the ones who don't, I'm like, go ahead and do it. I can't see you as competition, because I know you got bills to pay like me. There was one girl, shout out to Nandi, that I taught her before she went off to college, because I was like, look, there's going to be days where you want some money in your pocket, where it's to pay your cell phone bill or to get up in the club. And in order for you to do that, I'm going to teach you how to do hair. And so she asked me, and I was like, oh, because my thing is, I was like, girl, I want you to teach me some things, but I was teaching her how to do like extensions and stuff, because I was like, that's where the real money is. That's what people want, that long hair, don't care. And
always.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, let me
come in next week.
Yeah, so I mean, there's that. I have friends who do nails. I have friends who do, like I said, auto repair, different things like that. And I feel like that's how we have compensated, and we have acknowledged the reality of, okay, well, we know that the government's not going to be loyal to us. How am I now going to do this? And then having that circle relationship like they do in a lot of African and indigenous societies, of where you take care of family, and my family isn't just my blood relatives for me. It's those who extend to me. So like you're my family. So like, when these things happen, like literally cutting out some of the pleasurable things that I would want in my life to be able to help compensate for the shortcomings of these people's jobs in these companies who have decided, oh, we're going to let you go, or we're going to put you on a furlough.
So here's my list: potlucks, house parties.
Yes.
The testimony is that we grew up not knowing we were poor.
Yep.
About that. Making it work regardless. Going without so that your family has.
Yep.
And you know, we get into this concept of self-care. And that is very important, because sacrifice is a big word that's happening right now. I mean, people are sacrificing right now. So how do you extend self-care when you don't have the money to do it, when you don't have the time to do it, because now you're at a 30-day point where the stuff is due, because you're stuck in this loop, you're stuck in the cycle, you're stuck in the system. And I think that we still accomplish self-care. And that's why we are resilient. We still take breaks, right? No matter what that break is, it could be a vacation for some. For some, it could just be shutting the bathroom door. It could be waking up at 4 a.m. when everybody is still asleep, and having that time to yourself. And so, you know, building upon community. I'm working here in Kentucky with a group of families who are defining community, and they're teaching each other, sharing with each other. It's not just exchange of money. It's, hey, can you watch my kids while I work a second shift? You know what I'm saying? Can you, can somebody pick up so-and-so from school so that I can make dinner and have it ready by home, because then I got to go out, that kind of thing. And like you said, our community has done that, been doing it. And I pray for those that don't have that community right now, because we have been disjointed. You know, people know their next door neighbors. So you have to be very intentional and very careful about who you invite into community. So during this time, I just ask everybody out there who's watching, who happens to just go by this page, these are times of high stress. You know, reach out. And if you need information on where there is a trusted network of Black women, Black families in your community, we are more than happy to help you find that. Just so that we all have a place to decompress, to take some of the stress off, even though that there's that large looming thing that's still there. Even among all that, we need to build up on our resilience that we each have inside of us, that we've had for generations. We need to keep remembering that we are the descendants of those slaves that have survived. We are the descendants of those ancestors that made it through slavery. And so that resilience is in us, automatically in us. We are the ones that continue to breathe. Okay, so just leaving with that positive note on, regardless of what is going on around you, tap into whatever your faith system is, whatever that belief system is, whatever that protection is, right? And remember what is inside you moving forward. And we may do a part 2 to this, we may not, because there's many things that we wanted to touch on and we wanted to talk about. So please share below your story of resilience. How you're making it through, because you might help somebody else who doesn't have answers right now. If you have a project going on in your particular city or state where you are reaching out to those federal workers who need food, who need rental assistance. I know churches are stepping up, which is big. There's churches that are stepping up here to take up offerings for people who to make those payments. There are more food is coming in for food kitchens and food pantries. So the will is there. So don't go through this alone.
I really want to touch on that note that you were talking about, like reach out and talk to somebody. I started this channel because I was like, we really have to bring these conversations that happen on such a very micro level to the macro understanding, because people think that they're the only ones who are struggling with these things. And I'm definitely going to have, a conversation about that. but I wanted to put it out there, like reach out and talk to someone, because we got to the point where we couldn't depend on the government. And I think that's what I wanted to circle back to, is that the government really wasn't stepping in and doing what their agencies say they're going to do, what their missions say that they're there to do. And they were not doing those things. And so we were grinding. Like I was, trying to do hair, which was even a bigger task, because people don't want to pay you what you're worth. Like, and that's a whole nother thing. But like reaching out. And like I said, that my relationships in my network, my circle, is not just my blood relatives, but it's my extended family, through the relationships that I've established with people. Because family, some family was just, blood isn't all, it's thicker than water always, but it don't necessarily mean there's any significance there. So we need to also be truthful in what it is that we can do to help support one another. Don't set up expectations that are unrealistic, because I think that, sometimes we feel guilted into things that we're not able to actually compensate for. So I think that it's when you're dealing with someone who is struggling, like we were in the financial room and whatnot, that you really, 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 really have to be honest about, what you can do. And sometimes that just being honest about saying, I can only be here as a mental support, that's more than the no's that you're getting from anyone else. So that's you being there to be able to just be a shoulder to cry on is a magnitude to someone who doesn't have anything. So, or someone who doesn't have that person to lean on, or if they're struggling with, their significant other, both of them are in that stress. So to have someone outside of that, to be able to, speak power into that situation, speak positivity into it, and to just encourage and, try to give resources to, like, that's amazing. And I just appreciate, my friends and things who helped us during that struggle, so I encourage people to reach out, to talk about it, to, reach out for your resources. And when those resources fall through, when it comes to these government agencies who are not able to do for you right now because of the shutdown, or not able to do for you just because they're not set up like that, reach out to your friends, your family, to even to your politicians. Like, because when I tell you, I was drafting letters and everything, because I was like, this is ridiculous, just writing letters to people, and then them responding in ways to try to help us, to get back on our feet. So I encourage everyone to do that.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this conversation, and we're probably going to talk about economics in future episodes, because we touched on entrepreneur, and we talked about the shutdown right now, and about government assistance and what their role is, and then how we deal with that. But we haven't even touched on entrepreneurship. We haven't even touched on the whole credit and banking system. We have other topics that we can cover.
Credit is.
So be looking for those, and these are very important topics to be. We've gone through all of it. We're not that old, but we've gone through all of it. And so it would just be really great information to talk about and to share and to inform you about these various issues that we deal with and how we combat them, coming from the Black female perspective. So I'm gonna have leave out with some nice words. She does affirmations. I mean, I affirm myself too, but she knows all the good stuff. So I'm gonna have her wrap us up. But thank you for letting me bring this topic to the floor, and I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody in the comments as well. And if you think we've forgotten anything, or there are some facts that you believe that we should know, please link things at the bottom, right? There's more information, there's more knowledge that needs to be brought to the table, because you may give us ideas on topics that we need to cover as well.
All right. And so I just want to leave with this affirmation. Just say to yourself, or put it on your vision board, put it on your phone, text it to yourself, whether you're meditating or just out and needing some motivation before an interview or whatever. But the saying is, I tap into my receptive mode and receive abundance with grace and gratitude. So again, I tap into my receptive mode and receive abundance with grace and gratitude. And I hope that it helps you to, come up with those innovative ideas, that you begin to have a fail-proof system that you set up for yourself to help with your financial growth and stability and security. And I hope to see you on our next episode. Thank you, guys.